Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi. Daf Yomi, tractate Avodah Zarah, page 16, starting from 15b, bottom of the page, the words Tanu Rabbanan. Tanu Rabbanan en moichen lahem trisin v'yesh lahem, yesh oimrim, moichen lahem trisin, my time. Ilema mishum de magnu alayu yach yafilu chite sarina mila amarav. The sages taught one may not sell shields or tarisin to Gentiles, despite the fact that they are used for protection, not to attack others. And some say one may sell shields to them. One may sell shields to them. The Gemara asks, what is the reason behind the opinion that prohibits selling shields to Gentiles? If we say it is because they protect them in wartime, if so, then even wheat and barley should not be sold to them. We had wheat and barley above Metzia 107a. With lining the fields, crisscross, wheat and barley. And it's, we have it right here now. If we say it's because they protect them in wartime, if so, then even wheat and barley should not be sold to them, Rav said. And now we turn to our daf of the day, which is Avodah Zarah 16. Turning to the top of 16, top of the page, if it were possible to avoid selling produce to Gentiles without incurring their animosity, indeed it would be prohibited to sell them, since limiting sales to Gentiles to such an extent would cause great harm. It is only prohibited to sell them shields. Okay. Ika de amri trisen hainu time de la de chishlim zainaihu katli bigavaihu ve'eshoimren moyechem lahem trisin de chishlim zainaihu mi'Irak arki Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rabbi Baravu haloche ke yesh oimrim. Rabbi Baravu, he also came up today. It was the story of the cemetery. Rabbi Baravu, where he met Elijah in the cemetery. I think it's Bava Metzia 114, A or B. I forgot which one. Halacha ki yesham. And there are those who say, with regard to shields, this is the reason that if one is not allowed to sell them to Gentiles, as when their use of their weapon is finished in battle, they kill with these shields. And accordingly, the reason that some say in the Braita that one may sell shields to them is because they maintain that this is not a concern, as when their weapon is finished, they flee, rather than use their shield as a weapon. Rav Nachman says that Rabbi Baravu says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion cited as some say. Yesh omrim. Amar Rav Ada bar Ahava ein moichel lahem ashoshios shel barzel. My taima mishum nechalashi minayu klezaim ihachi afilu merechat echatzine nami amarav zvid befarzala hinduya v'ha'idna dekamezaddinan amarav ashi netarsoi de magnu Ilavan. Rav Ada bar Ahava says, one may not sell blocks of iron to Gentiles. Okay, we obviously don't hold like that today because, happens all the time and it's perfectly okay. What is the reason? It is because they forge weapons with them. The Gemara asks, if so, then even hoes and axes should not be sold to them, as they too can be used to forge weapons. Rav Zvid said in response, the ruling of Rav Ada bar Ahava was stated with regard to Indian iron, which is of a superior quality and used only for crafting weapons. The Gemara clarifies, and as for the fact that nowadays we do sell all weapons, Rav Ashi said, we sell the weapons to the Persians who protect us. Okay? Far cry from today's day and age. Okay? Anyway. Well, the Persian government, maybe back then the Persians were a little different. They weren't Islamic, right? They were something else. They were kind of like, some kind of Zoroastrianism. Whatever. Agalim Musayachim Tanya Rav Yehuda Matir V'Shavua Mibnei Shenechoi Leisra Pois V'Nechyois Amulo Ve'alo Marbin Alea V'Yoledes V'Kevan De Marbin Alea V'Yoledes Asu Leishahoya Amar Lehen Lechisheteled Alma La Mikaberes Mikabla Zocho. The Mishnah teaches one may not sell to Gentiles calves or foals. It is taught in a Braita that Rabbi Yehuda permits the sale of a damaged animal because it is incapable of being cured and living normally. The sages said to him, but if one mates her, does she not bear offspring? And since one can mate her and she will bear offspring, the Gentile will come to leave her in his possession, and Jews who see the animal in the possession of the Gentile will assume that it is permitted to sell live large stock to Gentiles. Rabbi Yehuda said to them in response, when she bears offspring, I will agree to be concerned about such a possibility. The Gemara notes, apparently, Rabbi Yehuda holds that a damaged animal does not accept a male. Since its legs are broken, it cannot participate in intercourse. Ben beser amatir basis. Tanya ben beser amatir basis b'shevu yisempay melachashin chayav nechatos. Ve'Rebbi Osem b'fnei shnei devarim. Echad mishum teras klizayin ve'echad mishum teras behema gasa. The Mishnah also teaches that Ben Betera permits the sale of a horse to a Gentile. The Gemara notes that it is taught in Braita, Ben Betera permits the sale of a horse because the Gentile uses it for performing an act for which one is not liable to bring a sin offering, as riding a horse is not prohibited by Torah law. Therefore, there is no reason to prohibit its sale due to the concern that the Gentile might use it for a prohibited action. Rabbi Yehuda ben Anasi prohibits its sale due to two reasons. One is because it has the status of a weapon, as horses are used in battle, and the other one is because it has the status of large livestock. Bishlam toiras klezayin ika dikatir b'sichufe el toiras behem agasamai amar Rabbi Yochanan lechsheyazkin matchino bereichaim b'shabbat amar Rabbi Yochanan halachi keben betera. The Gemara asks, granted, there is a reason to say that a horse has the status of a weapon, as a horse is taught to kill by striking down enemy troops. But what is the relevance of the observation that it has the status of large livestock? It has already been explained that a horse is used for riding, not for performing acts that are prohibited on Shabbat. Rabbi Yochanan says when it becomes elderly and is no longer suitable for use in battle, one makes it grind with a millstone. Therefore, it will in fact be used to perform prohibited labor on Shabbat. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Zarah, and it is permitted to sell a horse to Gentiles. A dilemma was raised before the sages with regard to an ox of a fattener which has been fattened for slaughter. What is the halakha? Let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who permits the sale of a damaged animal, and let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of the rabbis, who dispute that rule. Tiboy Rabbi Yehuda, ad kan lo kashari Rabbi Yehuda, el v'shvua delo asilcha melochi, aval hai techimashile asilcha melochasu. The Gemara elaborates, let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda as follows. Perhaps Rabbi Yehuda permits only the sale of a damaged animal which will never come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor, but with regard to this fattened ox, which, if kept for a sufficient amount of time without fattening, will come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor, the sale is prohibited. Oy dilma, or maybe, afilu l'rabonon lo ko'asri hosom ela distome lav l'shchita koi, aval hai distome l'shchita koi afilu l'rabonon l'sharu. Or perhaps maybe claim that even according to the rabbis they prohibit the sale only there in case of a damaged animal that ordinarily does not sound ready for slaughter, but in this case of a fattened ox which ordinarily stands for slaughter, even the rabbis permit the sale. Tashima Amar Rabbi Yehuda Mashmuel Shel Beis Rabbi Hoya Makrivin Shel Batam Yomidam. Patam. It's like fattening, fatten. Patam. Chasar Arba Revivin She'en Makrivin Oso Ayom Elal Machor. חסר אבל רביון שאין מקריבן עשו חי אל השכות חסר ארבע רבן שאין מקריבן עשו. The Gemara suggests a proof. Come and hear that which Rabbi Yehuda says, that Shmuel says. The members of the household of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi were required to bring as a present for the authorities of an ox, of a fattener, on their festival day. They deprived themselves of 40,000 dinars, meaning they paid this sum as a bribe to ensure that they would not have to bring it on the actual day of their festival, but rather the next day. They deprived themselves again. They paid a further bribe of another 40,000 dinars to ensure that they would not have to bring it alive, but rather slaughtered. They deprived themselves again and paid yet another bribe of 40,000 dinars to ensure that they would not have to bring it at all. My time, la mishum, my time, la mishum, dilmasi leshoil tamech. שאין מקריב לסוי היום ולמחר מה time אלא רבי מקר בנתה באי וסבר יקר ועתה פורתה פורתה. What is the reason that they paid a bribe to evade the responsibility of bringing a fattened ox to the authorities? Is it not due to the concern that perhaps they will come to keep the animal until it is fit for labor? The Gemara rejects this proof, and according to your reasoning, what is the reason? That they paid a bribe to ensure that they would not have to bring it on the day of the festival, but rather the next day. Rather, it must be explained that Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi wanted to abolish the matter entirely, and he reasoned it is best to abolish it gradually, little by little, and in this manner they ultimately had no obligation to bring the animal at all. Therefore, no proof can be brought from this incident with regard to the halacha, the sale of fattened dogs. It was stated that if a fattened ox is kept for a sufficient amount of time without being fattened, it will come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor. Concerning this, the Gemara asks, but even when a fattened ox is kept until it is slim, does it become healthy and able to perform labor? Rav Ashi said that the expert in this matter, Zvida, said to me, we keep a young ox that has been fattened until it is slim, and it performs twice the work of other oxen. Okay? Alright, that's the Gemara, new Mishnah. The Mishnah says, בכל דבר שיש בו נזק לרבים מן בוינהם בסליקה גרדום, איצטדיה ובימה, אבל בונים מהם בימוסיות ובית מרחצאות. הגיע וחיפה שמעמידים בעבודה זרה אסור לבנות. The Mishnah says one may not sell bears or lions or tigers. No, bears or lions or any item. Doesn't say tigers. That's another thing. Bears or lions or any item that cause injury to the public or to Gentiles. One may not build with them a basilica, a tribunal, a stadium, or a platform, but one may build with them small platforms and bathhouses. In this case, once he reaches the arched chamber in the bath where the Gentiles put up objects of idol worship, it is prohibited to build it. Okay. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Chanin bar Rav Chizda, v'amri le Amar Rav Chanan bar Rava Amar Rav, Chaya Gasa Harei kebehema daka lepirkus, aval lo lemechicha. Rav Chanan bar Chizda says, and some say Rav Chanan bar Rava says that Rav says, the status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to a spasm. The symptoms of vitality required at the time of slaughtering. If an animal in danger of dying was slaughtered, did not display any spasmodic movement when it was slaughtered, it is not kosher. If it did spasm after being slaughtered, its meat is kosher, but its status is not the same as that of small livestock with regard to its sale. Rather, it is considered like large livestock, and therefore its sale to Gentiles is always prohibited. ואני אומר, אף למחיר מקום שרק למכור מאכין, שלא למכור אין מאכין. Rav Chanan bar Rava added, this is a statement of Rav, but I say that even with regard to its sale, a large beast is akin to small livestock. Therefore, in a place where the people were accustomed to sell large beasts, one may sell them, and in a place where the people were not accustomed to sell them, we may not sell them. Tanan, we learned the Mishnah, Ein mochen lehem dubin v'arayos, ve'lo kol davar sheyesh bo nezek l'rabim. Time adis b'rei nezek l'rabim, ha'les ba nezek l'rabim shari, Amar Rabbi Bar Ula, be'ir shavur. Ba'ari shavur. The Gemara raises an objection to Rav's statement. We learned in the Mishnah, one may not sell bears or lions, or any item that can cause injury to the public, to Gentiles. The Gemara analyzes the Mishnah. The reason that these beasts cannot be sold to Gentiles is because they can cause injury to the public. It may be inferred from here that another beast, which does not cause injury to the public, is permitted to be sold to Gentiles. Rabbi Bar Ula says, in response, the Mishnah does not pose a problem for Rav, as he holds that it is referring to a damaged lion which is not fit for labor. Now we turn to the top of 16b. The words aliba. Aliba. Now we're on the top of Tezayin Bay 16b with the words aliba de Rabbi Yehuda. Ravashi Amas Tamare Shavu Hu Etzemachah. And this is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah on 14b. That is, that it is permitted to sell to a Gentile large livestock that are damaged. Yet, it is prohibited to sell large undamaged beasts, such as one may not sell large undamaged livestock. Rav Ashi says, it is not necessary to explain that the Mishnah is referring to such a specific case. Rather, an ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor, as lions are not generally used to perform labor. Therefore, there is no concern that a lion will be used to perform prohibited labor on Shabbat. Meisvei kishem shein moichin lahem behem agasel kach ein moichin lahem chay agasel afilu b'makom shemoichin lahem behem adaka chay agasa ein moichin lahem tiyufte dem chanan marove tiyufte. The Gemara raises an objection from Braita. Rav Chanan bar Rava, and they picked him as the one who said it. But if you remember, it says Amr Chanin bar Chizda. Why didn't they say him? They must have thought that it was just Chanan bar Rava more than the other. So Iked Amri, maybe they had some opinions on who it was. Who knows? The Gemara raises an objection from Braita, just as one may not sell livestock to Gentiles, so too one may not sell large beasts to them. And even in a place where the people were accustomed to sell small livestock to Gentiles, nevertheless, one may not sell large beasts to them. The Gemara concludes the refutation of the opinion of Chanan bar Rava is a conclusive refutation. Ravina Rami Masnisna Braita Umishani Tnan Ein Mochrin Lahen Dubin Ve'arayos Velo Kol Davar Sheyesh Bo Nezek Lerabim Ta'ama Li'it Bei Nezek Ha Li'it Bei Nezek Mochrin. The Gemara presents a different version of this discussion. Ravina raises a contradiction between the Mishnah here and a Braita and resolves the contradiction. We learned in the Mishnah, one may not sell bears or lions or any item that can cause injury to the public, to Gentiles. Ravina analyzes the Mishnah. The reason a beast such as a lion cannot be sold to Gentiles is that it can cause injury to the public, from which it may be inferred that with regard to another beast which does not cause injury to the public, one may sell it to Gentiles. Ravashi Amas Tamari Shavu Eitzim Melachim. And Ravina raises a contradiction from a Braita. Just as one may not sell large livestock to Gentiles, so too one may not sell large beasts to them. And even in a place where the people were accustomed to sell small livestock to Gentiles, one may not sell large beasts to them. The Braita indicates that one may never sell large beasts to Gentiles, even if it poses no danger to the public. And Ravina resolves the contradiction between the Mishnah and the Braita. The ruling of the Mishnah is stated with regard to a damaged lion, in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Ashi says there is a different explanation. An ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor. Maskif la Rav Nachman, man lemalan deri chayagasahi dilma chayadakahi. Rav Nachman objects to the inference drawn from the Mishnah. Who will tell us that a lion is considered a large beast? Perhaps it is considered a small beast, in which case it can be inferred the Mishnah permits the sale of large beasts. I don't know who would ever consider a lion a small beast. Compared to what? What's bigger than a lion? A gorilla? I would think they're both big beasts. Definitely among beasts, lions are one of the biggest. Tiger and lion are about the same size. Ravashi dag was nisan moisten diodnan, a moichen and dubi marayos. Velo kol navar sheyesh bo nezek rabim. Tam lis ben nezek hales non ben nezek moichen. The Gemara explains Ravashi examined the Mishnah here carefully, and from it he raises a refutation of the opinion of Hanan bar Rava, who permitted the sale of large beasts. We learn in the Mishnah that one may not sell bears or lions or any item that can cause injury to the public, to Gentiles. Ravashi inferred two conclusions from here. First, the reason a beast such as a lion cannot be sold to Gentiles is because it can cause injury to the public. Whereas with regard to a beast that does not cause injury to the public, one may sell it to Gentiles. This inference was cited in contradiction of the opinion of Rav, as explained before. Vitama ari distamari shavo etzem loche aval mide achlini de abed malacha lo tiyufta derachana v'rava tiyufte. And Rashi then inferred, in resolution of Rav's opinion, that the reason the Mishnah specifies that one may sell a lion if it does not pose a danger to the public is that an ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor, but a different animal that performs labor may not be sold. This presents a difficulty to the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava. The Gemara concludes the refutation of the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava is a conclusive refutation. Chayagasa mihas my melachavda amar bayamari mar Yehuda dve mar Yochani tachani vichaim beorade. The Gemara asks, but in any event, what labor can a large beast perform? Why is it necessary to prohibit the sale of large beasts if they are not trained to perform any labor? Abaye said, Mar Yehuda said to me that in the house of Mar Yohani they grind the mill with wild donkeys, which are considered large beasts. Amar Rav Zarah, Amar Rav Zarah, Amar Rav Zarah, Amar Rav Zarah, Amar Rav Zarah. Ki have me Yehuda Gemiri minayu amir sadim gavirah. Shmieli v'lo yadani im Rav im Shmuel chaya gasa harehi kebehema daka lepirkus. Rabbi Zarah said, when we were in the study hall of Yehuda, he said to us, learn from me this matter, which I heard from a great man, but I do not know if I heard it from Rav or from Shmuel. The status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm, meaning the symptoms of vitality required at the time of slaughtering. Ki asai likurkunya ashkachte varashi yasir kamar mishmedish mul chaygas harehi kebehema dak lepirkos amen ashpamina mishmedish mul itmar ki atai lesura ashkachte the Rabbi Bar Yirmiyah Yati v'kamale mishmei Rav Chayagasa sharei hi kebehema daka lebirgus Amen ashma mina itmar mishmei Rav itmar mishmei Shmuel. Rav Zarah continued, when I came to the city of Korkonium, I found Rav Chia bar Ashi sitting and saying in the name of Shmuel, the status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to a spasm. I said to myself, one can conclude from here that this was stated in the name of Shmuel. When I came to Surah, I found Rabba Bar Yirmi sitting and saying in the name of Rav, the status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to a spasm. I said to myself, one can conclude from here that this was stated in the name of Rav, and it was also stated in the name of Shmuel. Ki sali ki slahas ashke te ravasi yasef Amar Rav Chama Bar Guria Mishmei Rav Chaya Gasa Harei Gebleim Gas Daka Bepirkus Amar Le Lo Sofer La Mar Deman Mara Ishmatata Rabba Bar Yirmiyah Amar Li Patya Ukama Minai Uminach Tistayim Shmata. When I ascended there to Eretz Yisrael, I found Rav Asi sitting and saying that Rav Chama Bar Guria says in the name of Rav, the status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to spasm. I said to him, and doesn't the master hold that the master who is responsible for dissemination of this halacha is Rav Bar Yirmiyah? Why don't you attribute the statement to him? Rav Asi said to me, black pot, a term of endearment. Black pot? A term of endearment for a scholar who works hard studying Torah. Patya ukama. Black pot. Patya ukama. Okay, from me and from you, this halacha may be concluded. In other words, our two statements should be combined to form one accurate attribution of the halacha. Itmar nami amar Zarah. Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Bar Yirmiyah, Amar Rav Chama Bar Guria, Amar Rav Chaya Gasa Harei Gebleim Daka Levirkus. The Gemara notes that in fact this ruling was also stated. Rav Zarah says that Rav Asi says that Rav Bar Yirmiyah says that Rav Chama Bar Guria says that Rav says the status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to spasm. Ein bonin, okay, we done that. Ein bonin, Amar Rav Bar Brachan, Amar Yochanan Shlosh Besnikois, Ein Shamalach Mishal Kosoyev, Shal Yitzray, Amar Rav Shtem Lehet Revach Alisa, Siman Le'esom Achim Bezikim. The Mishnah teaches that one may not build a basilica in conjunction with Gentiles. Rav Bar Chana says that Rabbi Yochanan says there are three types of basilicas: those of kings, and those of bathhouses, and those of storehouses. Rava says two of these types are permitted, as they are not used for inflicting the death penalty, and one is prohibited. And a mnemonic device for this ruling that the basilica of kings is prohibited is the verse to bind their kings with chains. Lesor Malchem Bezikim. Psalms 149. V'igadamri amarava kulam leter v'atanan em boinu hem zirgi gardom itztadia ubima ema shel gardom itztadia shel bima. And there are those who say that this is what Rabbah says. All these types of basilica are permitted. The Gemara asks, how can it be permitted to build any type of basilica? But didn't we learn in the Mishnah one may not build them with a basilica, a tribunal, a stadium, or a platform? The Gemara answers say that the Mishnah means the following: one may not build in conjunction with Gentiles a basilica or a tribunal, or a stadium or a platform, but it is permitted to build a basilica that is not used for sentencing and inflicting the death penalty. Tan Rabbanan Keshenit Bas Eliezer Leminus Eluhu Ligardum Lidon Amar Lo Oto Hegmon Zakan Shikmotcha Esok B'Dvarim B'Teinim Halalu. Apropos the above discussion, the Gemara relates incidents involving sages who were sentenced by ruling authorities. The sages taught when Rabbi Eliezer was arrested and charged with heresy by the authorities, they brought him to a tribunal to be judged. A certain judicial officer said to him, "Why should an elder like you engage in these frivolous matters of heresy?" Amarlo, Ne'eman alai hadayan, Savuroto hegmon, alavu omer, V'lo amar ela keneged aviv sheba shemayim. Amarlo, Rabbi Eliezer said to him, the judge is trusted by me to rule correctly. The officer thought that Rabbi Eliezer was speaking about him, but in fact he said this only in reference to his Father in heaven. Rabbi Eliezer meant that he accepted God's judgment, meaning if he was charged, he must have sinned to God in some manner. The officer said to him, since you put your trust in me, you are acquitted, you are exempt. ולא קיבל עליו תנחומים, אמר לו רבי עקיבא, רבי תרשה לי לומר דבר אחד ממה שלימדתני, אמר לו אמור, אמר לו רבי שמא מינות בר ידך. When Rabbi Eliezer came home, his students entered to console him for being accused of heresy, which he took as a sign of sin, and he did not accept their words of consolation. Rabbi Akiva said to my teacher, allow me to say one matter from all of that which you taught me. Rabbi Eliezer said to him, speak. Rabbi Akiva said to him, my teacher, perhaps some statement of heresy came before you.